Hey, just do it. It'll turn out okay. Even if your guest for the day is running a little late because technical problems. You gotta camera. You gotta love technical issues. All right. Sweet. All right. So, my guest today is Vagrant Sam. It's 6 p.m. where I am right now, and it's 8 a.m. where he's at. So, time, gotta let the time zones. ACC, what up? Just waiting. See if he's ready yet. So, y'all in chat, how y'all doing? Having fun today? How's quarantine life for y'all? Hey! What up? What up, Jim? So how's life in quarantine or social distancing land? Just working, sleeping, trying to finish trying to finish trying to finish projects, either writing or video recording. Let's see if he's nope, still okay. Oh, sleepy streaming is killing me. So what hey CC, what time is it where you're at? Yeah, I'm sleepy too. Worked third shift last night, so yeah, waiting for my guest. He's about 5 minutes, about 10 minutes before the stream, computer decided to, you know what, I'm gonna do an update on you. So computer started updating like 10 minutes before the stream. So yeah, stuff like that happens here. Oh. Oh, 94%. He's at 94%. So, yeah, so, 11 p.m. So are you in Europe then? I'm guessing since it's 8 a.m. in Australia where VG is VS is at 6 p.m. where I'm at. So I'm guessing you're around somewhere in Europe. I'm guessing. Ooh. Hey, you three can talk to each other. Oh, Jambalaya and Prison Master have made each other already, but Prison Master and Jambalaya meet Critical Couple. Cripple meet the Prison Master and Jambalaya. Now you're all friends. Is what we do. Is what we do. We make friends. You two come at friends for life. Uh, so so CC, you been playing any games lately? You're a vet. Yeah, Jambalaya, and Prism are all are all fans of the Dog Naruto series. If you haven't seen it yet, you should check it out. If you want to play it, you probably shouldn't watch my Let's Plays of it on my channel because spoilers. If you want to, then if you're not playing games, you should definitely watch it. If you don't care about the spoilers, definitely watch it. Plug for me, on me. Right now, it's all I can do right now. I can't really go out very much. Wearing a sweater because it's April and it's like 40 degrees outside. So yeah, you gotta love the crazy weather and the crazy stuff we're in right now. maybe one thing if I go outside, just get some fresh air and stuff occasionally. I was going to work and stuff, but can't even do that because it's freaking freezing outside still in April. So yeah, all right. Oh. Next, spoilers. Next week, if we're still doing it, Jambalaya and I and our guest, maybe another guest, we talking about another character in Danganronpa, Izuru Kamakura. So, and the week after that, Jackson Wheat to be back on, and he's doing a documentary about the baraminology stuff that creationists like to use. So it's gonna be a fun night, fun 2 weeks. Next 2 weeks, me packed of games and learning about fictional characters, about fictional taxonomy. So yeah, 94%. Okay. Right. The what? Oh, he's here. And he's made it finally.
Sorry about that. Bloody. That's what I get for not formatting my computer in like several years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I gotta do that more often myself. So, okay, guest for today, introduce yourself.
Hey, cool. So I am Vagrant Sam. I probably can't really say I'm a new YouTuber anymore. It's been about 6 months. But I'm what's the best way to describe it? I'm a YouTuber. I sort of entered on the atheism YouTube train. I'm not sure if that's where that train is going to finish. I'm sort of moving into more humanist, secular stuff, I guess, rather than specifically atheism and debunking and that sort of stuff. So still, playing a lot with my content. So I've gone from early response videos to BoJack Horseman video essays to couple of one travel video that's been posted so far, but there's a couple more travel videos coming soon. They all relate to religion in some way, though, so there's some connection, but they're not sort of, just disproving, debunking, or dismissing religion. There, not focused on that. I guess there's a lot of people that already do that anyway, so try and do something a little bit different, a little bit unique. So,
yeah, I know what you mean. I'm all over the place too. I started my channel with my first videos were about was really going to be about my friend's band, like behind the scenes of his band. Then I was gonna do some Christian puppet ministry stuff on my channel. Then I got to angry vlogs, then just food reviews, podcasts, game stuff, and every other place. I'm all over the place. With my channel.
Well, like I actually first was on YouTube. It was probably close to 10 years ago. Like I started a gaming channel, but I started it using a PlayStation 3 with a PlayStation Eye, and good grief, the quality is terrible. Everyone's first YouTube video is always really terrible, but this one's particularly bad. But from memory, I think there's not many videos on the channel at all, but the first couple of videos was like a Zelda Ocarina of Time 3DS remake unboxing special edition with the Ocarina, and also Final Fantasy 14 special edition unboxing, which was the 1.0 version. So it was the one that was widely disliked and got taken down to be remade.
Oh, yeah. My first Let's Play on the channel, I see the link to it, was with the original Final Fantasy 7 PS1. I played on my PS2. So.
Oh, wow. And you had capture equipment for that back then?
Yeah, but it was like old school capture equipment, there's like core, like some plug when you plug into your.
It's like what you'd use to tape VHS tapes onto DVD or something. Cool.
Yeah, so it's like I had my laptop, so yeah, and I edited in Movie Maker Pro, no Movie Maker Pro, Windows Movie Maker. I mean, so it's like
I can't remember how I edited those videos. I should have a look at them. It's possible that I just recorded them and then just uploaded them.
But technically, my very first gameplay I played was Salt. I played Solitaire. I had the camera up to the computer screen and played Solitaire.
That's classic early YouTube, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I'm curious now what my actual first video was. Clearly, it didn't leave a big impression on me. But I've tried to reboot that channel a few times and haven't quite got there.
But yeah, between my first and second video was a 2-year gap.
29 subscribers, 14 videos, although there's a lot of videos I've removed over the years and made private because they became redundant. Where's my earliest video that's published? Final Fantasy 14 version 1.0 unboxing. I was watching something earlier today talking about that. It's apparently version 1.0 sucked. Apparently. Oh yeah, the game was so bad when it came. Well, so bad's maybe the wrong word. So out of touch with what people wanted that they ended up literally turning off the servers for about a year and then coming back with a completely remade game. But the really cool thing about it, do you know anything about Final Fantasy 14 besides that it exists?
No, but funny story is, I used to play 11 back in the day. I played 11 on dial-up.
So I downloaded that goddamn game and used to patch. I played it regularly for 9 months. It was my first big MMO, and yeah, dial-up. It was okay. Cool. It's a patch day, 48 hours. Let's download the patch and then play.
Because I was living with my parents at the time still, so I had to wake up at nighttime, turn the computer on, and then go to sleep. And hopefully, hope no one turned the computer off or don't
pick up the phone. Don't pick up the phone. No one can make phone calls. Just let it go.
And I woke up before it was done and turned the computer off and tried to do it again next day.
Yeah, at least I'm pretty sure Play Online would remember what files it had downloaded, so at least it would pick up where you left off. But Final Fantasy 14, the really cool thing about it, the way they handled it, is so obviously being Final Fantasy, it's a heavy story-based game for an MMO. And when they turned off the servers, it actually ended with a cataclysmic event for the world. Bahamut woke up from the moon that he was asleep in, and he basically destroyed not the planet, but the continent that the game set in. And that was the story reason for bringing down the servers. And then when everything rebooted up, it was after the calamity, which had actually happened during the server's lifetime when it first went up. And that's actually a key part of the story that has been sort of progressing along in the game, which is really cool. So
Nice. I want to check it out sometime. But
it's free until 8th of May at the moment.
Well, cool. Yeah, after I played FF11, I got into WoW for a while myself.
Yeah, I've played bits and pieces of WoW. I'm
taking a break from it right now. I started in Wrath. I quit, started again, then started in Cataclysm. Played until played all the way through MOP. Played to WAD. Quit for a while again. Started again when the new expansion hit. Played until the last one, and I quit again. Started when Classic came back. Started Classic when it came up again. Played to level 30, and quit again. And then how
see that's more than what I've played WoW, but I played it during Burning Crusade, but I only got to like level 63 or something because the Outlands were just a nightmare for leveling. It was so slow and it was so grindy. Then I played again probably. When would have been the next time? The next time I remember was Cataclysm because, hey, they're destroying the world and everything's going to be different. So I jumped in for Cataclysm, but I didn't get to the end there either. I think I got like one of those class jumps that jumps you ahead to like the content. And then it was too much for me to take in. But then it was Legion that I actually played, and I played through to the end game. And like, I like the story of these games, but the problem I had with WoW is that I got to the point where to progress with Illidan's story, I had to collect like 30 essences or something that dropped from Mythic or raids, which is fine, except you'd get one every day or two, and I needed 40, and I lost interest.
I never got to do a Mythic. Never got to do the ranking. I mean, I did basic rating like LFR stuff, but never.
That's all I did.
Yeah, never. I always wanted to try a real raid, but never. It's schedules and stuff. You know, you got to be the right time and the right group of people and stuff. So it's like, so I thought I could try the classic raids, you know, like that, but I never got to 60. So like, because of working
50, isn't it?
No, it's 60 in classic.
Okay, I'm probably thinking of Final Fantasy.
It was 16 classic and 70 in BC.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Now I remember because it was 62 or 63 in Burning Crusade that I got sick of leveling. So,
yeah, apparently it was a lot slower in Classic than it was in the Classic was a lot slower.
Did you say you started playing around Wrath, or did you play earlier?
Yeah, I played in Wrath.
Yeah.
Technically,
early on.
Yeah, technically I got the disc in BC, but never started because, you know, I still had the dial up and not doing that again. So once I moved out, got real internet connection, then I started out and I got the game. My demo was Wrath.
No commitment. The first MMO I played was Dark Age of Camelot, and if you remember the old what was it called? I can't remember the name of the website. There's a website that it used to be like not Steam exactly, but it's where you could download digital games and stuff. And I downloaded the 500 megabyte Dark Age of Camelot 14-day free trial on dial-up. It took me about a week, but I just kept logging in, picking up the download again from where it left off until I could play it, and just had to get through it.
So what games don't you like playing?
What games don't I like playing? I'm not the biggest fan of shooters.
Me either. Ever since I tried Doom in the 90s, I'm like, nope, shooters aren't for me. Actually, bring it back. I was very good at one first-person shooter back in the day. You know what that was called?
Duke Nukem 3D.
What?
Duke Nukem 3D.
Nope.
What was it?
Duck Hunt.
Oh, That's a light gun game. It's not a yes, I know, yes, shooter technically.
First-person shooter.
Yeah.
Let's go with that game.
I don't mind popcorn shooters or like arcade shooters, but I'm really, really bad. And it's not so much that I think they're bad games or that anything. It's just that I'm bad at like Counter-Strike and stuff. Anything that requires precision, snappy twitch reflexes, just I'm out. Which is a shame because a lot of people like them. But in the hopefully next week, if not sooner, Mama Atheist and I, we're going to be starting to play some games on her channel, and I'll probably Twitch stream it. And we're setting up to play Destiny 2 on PlayStation, which is exciting. So, but like, because it's that slower pace in terms of you can soak up a lot of damage and the enemies take a lot of damage. It's not all over in a second. Whereas like your Battlefield and your Call of Duties and stuff, it feels like I haven't even seen the enemy and I'm dead. Shit.
Oh, by the way, in the private chat, can you link your in the private chat on the stream labs? Can you link your channels? I can put in the description. I forgot about to do that.
I will try and get all that sorted. Sorry.
So yeah, I've always loved RPGs. You know, like Final Fantasy, Zelda, stuff like that. My favorite series is the Kingdom Hearts series.
I loved Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I've got 3, but I don't know. I'm up to the Toy Story world, and then I just never logged on again.
Yeah, I'm still upset they never put the DS games on the PS4.
Well, that's what frustrates me with the games is that I feel like between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3, there's like all this mandatory story that I just didn't play because I wasn't interested in the DS games. But it turns out they were as direct sequels to Kingdom Hearts 2 as Kingdom Hearts 3, and all this story about what is it, the Syndicate or whatever they're called, the people in the Black Hoods. Like all that story is in the DS. Like
and you got. And they tell you they introduce this all new characters like Shion and the Birth by Sleep trio.
Yeah, like where all the characters start in Kingdom Hearts 3, no relation to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, but
because they just have moved on and done all this other stuff.
But the game I hate that series. The game I hate most of the series is Birth by Sleep. I hate Birth by Sleep, not because it's a good story. Story's great, but because they did something there, and that's in that game, which I hate. They made the mini games required to progress the story.
That's kind of like Final Fantasy VII, though. Like you had to do the motorcycle, you had to do the snowboarding, you had to do. Well, actually, I don't know if you had to do Phoenix Tower or whatever it's called.
But kind of, but you know, it was so easy to do. Two of the mini games were easy: racing and playing volleyball. The third one was you have to catch ice cream to the beat of It's a Small World, and I am terrible at rhythm games, and to this day I cannot get fucking past that game, so I cannot beat the game because I cannot put the buttons at the right time to the beat.
See, I love rhythm games. Well, she's a bit broken, but I've got a little. Hang on. I'll see if I can fix it quickly. But see, I've even got a little Miku.
Ah, nice.
I've got quite a few Miku actually, but
lately I've been playing visual novels. Like
what have you been playing?
Danganronpa and Steins Gate.
Oh yes, of course. Sorry, I was thinking of other visual novels.
Oh, I also played Phoenix Wright earlier too, but yeah. And for me, who had sometimes trouble talking, you know, and dead air. Having just to read the script sometimes is very easy. Oh, just read what it says on the thing. That don't worry about maybe ad lib here and there.
Yeah,
no dead air to fill.
I've got the I actually bought the box version of Steins Gate when it came out. I haven't finished it yet. Like I watched the anime, like obviously, like everyone's watched the anime who's into anime sort of thing. And I really like the story and stuff. And I mostly bought it because I wanted to support more visual novels being made, like particularly those high quality sort of A-grade visual novels as opposed to, you know, the stuff that's always coming out on Steam. So I was happy to see that because Also, have you played Muv-Luv?
Never heard of it, but I might now. Listen,
On Steam? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, I say it's a problem. It depends if you like slice of life, right? Because there's 3 in the series. I haven't played the 3rd one yet because apparently the 3rd one is just like devastating. But I want to play it. I just need to set aside time. The first one's really slice of life, but what it does is it's setting up all the characters and all the relationships between people. The second one, it just I don't want to say anything because it's better if you don't know anything about it. But it was a Kickstarted translation. It's a relatively old visual novel from Japan, and like the fan translations have been out for a long, long time. But it's fantastic. It's probably the best one I've played. Not that I've played heaps, but it's way up there.
So how do you come up with your name for your channel, by the way?
So it's probably Vagabond Sam's been my screen name for quite a while. And I switched to Vagrant Sam in some places and not in other places. Basically, it's just if Vagabond Sam wasn't available, I went with Vagrant Sam, and I kind of like Vagrant Sam a little bit more. But funnily enough, it was when I was being an angsty teenager. So I would have been about 17 or 18. And it was when I was still going to church, funnily enough. And for whatever reason, well, basically being at church, what I was starting to feel was that people weren't really interested in me. Specifically, it was like, hey, are you coming to a service? Are you coming to the youth group? Are you coming to the prayer group? Are you coming to this, coming to that? But it was never about, hey, let's hang out because we like you. It was always, hey, you're a number. You go to church. We need to include you. We need to, this is part of the job sort of thing. And so not feeling like I was part of the group made me feel like an outsider. And so that's why I started using the term Vagabond Sam as my email. Like I didn't go and tell everyone that, but like I switched from a Christian-based email address. So I used to use the email armed with the gospel, I think it was, at hotmail.com. So yeah, part of it was wanting to switch away from such an on-the-nose email address to something a bit more subtle. And unfortunately, I didn't get onto Gmail early enough to get just my actual name for a professional-looking email to use in that sphere. So yeah, Vagabond Sam and Vagrant Sam it is.
Yeah, I had the same problem. My first start of my YouTube channel, I had an AOL account, right? So
I mean, that's like Hotmail for us in Australia.
Yeah. So then, I got my first smartphone when I was 29 or 31. Anyways, it was an Android. My first smartphone was an Android, and the phone I had to get a Gmail account, right? So I got my Gmail account, my phone, and then all of a sudden, they're like, Google bought YouTube, right? Around the time, so it was like, oh, you get to have a Gmail account to do stuff. Like, okay, so I'll just, move my YouTube account over to Gmail. But then, like, oh, sorry, that Gmail's already taken. I'm like, I know it's taken. Take it by me. So I had to create another YouTube account with my real name, and then I had to transfer my old YouTube account to the ownership of my YouTube account.
Oh, wow.
So I could have it on my Gmail account. So I was like, yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I've got a really frustrating mix at the moment between a Hotmail account and I suppose they're Outlook accounts now, but I'm pretty sure it's still at hotmail.com for the actual. Actually, no, at Outlook probably works with my. Anyway, not interesting part of the conversation. But yeah, so like I started playing a lot of the games that I still play when I was still actively using Hotmail, like my Blizzard accounts and all that sort of stuff. But now I use Gmail, and there's been no easy way to actually switch them over for a lot of cases, and it's just.
Yeah, my first email was a Hotmail account too. It's probably still around somewhere. But it's probably I'm testing like years. It's probably like 25 million backup unopened emails now. If I get back into it.
I regret deleting my old Gmail. My old Hotmail, just in case there was stuff in the sent folders that was still interesting to go back and check. But I definitely deleted it, unfortunately.
Oh, and did you ever go to the I also ventured into Yahoo Mail too.
Yeah, I never did the Yahoo Mail. I had a Yahoo account for the old Yahoo chat forums, but never used the email.
You remember the old GeoCity web pages?
Yeah, the first website I tried to make was the GeoCities webpage based on Lufia 2 Rise of the Sentinels. And like the plan was to like set it up like a encyclopedia of like all the monsters and weapons, and yeah, I think we worked on it twice, me and one of my mates in high school, and then we never worked on it again.
So why did you start your YouTube channel? Is there any particular reason?
The main reason is a outlet for creativity. So like I've alluded to, I've messed around on YouTube on and off for a while. So like my earliest video is 9 years old. And I've come back to YouTube here and there, and usually it would last for, 2, 3, 4 videos before it would just fall off my plate again. And this time I just happened to go, well, hey, for the last year or so, I've been watching all these atheist content. Maybe that's something that's going to be a little bit easier to find a niche in. Gaming's a highly saturated part of YouTube, so it's very difficult to find a voice that is worth hearing. It's more competitive, but I may have underestimated the atheist side of it as well, because it seems to be not competitive in the sense that people aren't going to help you out, but it's definitely competitive for people's attention. Maybe the audience is also smaller in relation to things like gaming and stuff. So
yeah, I think those channels are trying to get a small comeback. Maybe I think it first started like in the early 2000s. Then for a while it dropped out. It dropped but the criticism dropped off for a while. Now it's back again.
Yeah, but yeah, like mostly it's just a way to be creative. So one of my big hobbies is, I say big, a hobby I've got, I suppose, is photography. So I've got a reasonable amount of camera gear, and it just seemed like, hey, this is another way to use that gear, because I'm not always shooting with actual models or going to actual events or going on actual trips. Because I did a lot of, there was a year where I just went and I made sure that I wouldn't necessarily take a picture every day, but I wanted to have at least one picture to represent each day, like in terms of posting. So I'd try and post to Instagram for one day a year for an entire year. And that got me really sort of onto photography as something I wanted to spend more time doing, and ended up joining a photography club, which meant that, for a while I was quite regularly going every week almost, and would actually shoot proper setup studio photography. And so there'd be things like pin-up, there'd be things like steampunk, there was some LARP people that would come in their full costumes, there was like milk baths, and what else was there? There was a cosplay one where we had like a group that was doing the Tim Burton Batman costumes, all sorts of stuff. It was a lot of fun. Expensive, but it was a lot of fun.
And the funny story is, I used to be in photography myself. I did it all the time. I got into photography back in middle high school because at the time I hated how I looked on camera. I looked ugly and stupid. So I decided, hey, if I'm taking the pictures, I should be in the pictures. So I started taking pictures everywhere, video cameras and stuff. No, not video cameras yet. Video cameras still expensive at the time, but I took pictures. And that's what I did at my church. I was the youth photographer at my church.
Oh, cool.
I was taking pictures, and I get at camp. With the church camp of the pictures, they called me the photographer because I take pictures really fast. Anybody can notice I was taking them. So
that's key to taking good photos.
Embarrassing, like doing something like shots, and so they call me the photographer. So yeah, but then
I know when I was in high school, I liked the idea of photography, but it was just so far out of reach in terms of how much it cost. But I remember in grade 11 and 12, like I did both art and commercial art and design in high school as my electives. Art being like the traditional, hey, painting and sculpture and all that sort of stuff, and commercial art and design being focused on, hey, look at this fancy new way of doing, art design using computers. Whoa. And part of that was there was a photography section to it in the other art class anyway. And that included the darkroom, what do you call it? Developing the images and stuff. But when I looked at like the cost for photography courses after high school, and back then in Australia, none of those were eligible for student loans, which back then we used to call them HECS. Now they're called help loans. But it was just, well, shit, I can't afford $15,000 for 1 year of secondary education when I could go to a university and do at the time it was theology. And then that was only like $12,000, and I could put it on this HECS debt, which I don't even have to pay that back until I'm making like a certain amount a year. So it took me 20 years, no, not 20, 15 years to get back into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought doing theology too, but first I thought in photography for a while. So I went to community college to do a photography class, but there you had to take the equipment to and from school with you, unless you had a locker. But then lockers are already taken. And at the time I took the bus to school, so RTA, like a public transportation bus. I'm like
yeah.
I'm not carrying all my equipment on the bus down the street to school and home again. Like, so I'm like, no, right? Like, nope, dropping that class.
Well, when I first started getting back into photography, like not just happy snaps, I actually worked at one of the big box retail stores here in Australia, and there was a Canon kit. I think it was the 100D or something, digital SLR. And I had that for a couple of years, but I really rarely used it because the equipment was too big. So like this was I'm pretty sure it was an APC size sensor, but I would be on holidays. I would take this camera with me and I'd be like, shit, I can't be bothered carrying around like its own entire bag just to carry 2 lenses with the body. It's just too much. I'd leave it in the hotel like 9 times out of 10. So I ended up getting a mirrorless camera, which was much, much smaller, and I could actually just chuck in any bag, and it's always with me. So.
Yeah. I also wanted to be a history teacher for a while too. But then I found out I sucked at college. So.
That's kind of what happened to me. So when I left high school, I started a Bachelor of Theology. I was successful for 2 years, and then I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. But my next career decision after that was I was helping a friend with the draft of a story they were writing. I thought, hey, I could be an English teacher. I like this. This is enjoyable. And so I went to do secondary education at uni, which is a 4-year course here in Australia. And I didn't make it past the first year. I did the first year and then would get distracted talking to people at uni and saying, oh, have you read Asterix and Obelix books? No, let's go to the library instead of class and read comics. And yeah, it didn't go too well. So.
I'm trying to write my novel myself. I'm trying to practice right now with fan fiction. I've been writing a novel forever. It's just getting that. I got the story in my head and stuff. It's just.
Oh, it's tough. Like in high school, one of my best mates at the time and myself, we wanted to co-write a fantasy novel. I think we got about 5 chapters in, but I don't think we had a plan or a story or anything. So,
yeah, I got point A, point G, and point M, point Z. It's just the in between plot points.
Yeah,
how to get there. It's just be like
you got the story beats, but not quite the story.
Yeah, it's like your novel's like 5 pages long.
Yeah. Hey, that can still be a really good story if that's the goal.
True. Like, once upon a time, 3 preschoolers were doing stuff, and then they graduated high school at the end. So is the reason you fell out of your church because of the this the thing because of the you felt like you didn't belong there, or was it more to that?
There's a whole bunch of stuff. The main things were, from what I was learning in Bible college. I mean, that sounds really trite, I suppose, in some ways, but we were learning. It was really funny. So the history I come from in the church is a Pentecostal background in Australia, which is the Assemblies of God is the denomination that they're known as. They believe in literal gifts of the Holy Spirit. So they do their speaking in tongues. They will pray and people will fall down drunk in the Spirit. It's very, sorry, I've got a cat that's just jumping in the way. So they're very boisterous, I suppose, with expressing their belief that they are being touched by the Holy Spirit. And they're very shallow in terms of their theology, in my opinion. So, for example, to be a pastor of a church in that denomination, and I believe it's still true to this day, all you need is the equivalent of a certificate for, I don't know how that translates to America, but basically 1 year of going to seminary or Bible college. And it's not even like university level. It is what's referred to in Australia as competency based. So you either are competent or not competent. Like there's no scale for success or, how hard you try. It's just, hey, can you tick a few boxes? Great. Here's your certificate for.
Like how Calvin got his doctorate degree?
So you've got your doctorate degrees, which are above a master's degree, which is above a bachelor. A bachelor is like just what you do at university or college, I think is what you call it. And then below that, you've got a advanced diploma. Oh. And then below that, you've got a diploma. Oh. And then below that, you've got a certificate for. But also the other big difference as well is, so in university in Australia, which is like in America, you've got grades. So you've got like your 7.0 GPA potential or whatever.
Wow.
So you can get a 7.6543. Certificate 4 in what a lot of these Bible colleges do, they don't even grade your work. They just say, yes, you successfully, like you have demonstrated competency or you have not. That's the only outcome.
Basically, you show up to class, you pass.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you filled in the workbooks. And it's not that that's not an effective tool for learning some skills. Like there are things, so we call it TAFE in Australia, and I've no idea what the American equivalent is. But when you go to learn more trade-based skills often, so photography would be an example. I think cooking is an example. I've never been to TAFE or looked into TAFE myself, so I'm not the best source on it. But things like that can often be competency-based. Actually, no, I did a certificate 3, which is below certificate 4, in tourism retail, which was, just fill in a workbook. Your moderator or whatever they're called will check it every week, and they'll just tick you off as you go through the modules and mark you as competent as long as they've seen you've done the work. Nothing wrong with that, except for in the context of the church, where they believe the pastor is the equivalent of a doctor is to physical health as your pastor is to spiritual health, right? So this is important. This is critical to the health and well-being of the people that attend the church. Why is it okay for them to only have 1 year of training and for that to be considered fine? Like you wouldn't expect a doctor to do 1 year and go, yes, now look after my physical health. And this is what I believed as a on fire believer in church and Jesus and Christianity. Like I was strongly convicted that, hey, if I want to be a pastor, which was what my goal was, then I should put in the work to make sure that I, am as well equipped as possible, which is why I went to Bible college. So what I was working towards was a Bachelor of Theology. And part of that was learning ancient language, like ancient Greek was one of the classes I did. We did church history from, 0 to 1500 BC, 1500 AD and 1500 to current. Hermeneutics, which is basically preaching. Apologetics is one of the classes. So it was a really robust, really strong, academically program. Now that was ironic when relating to AOG, which is a very shallow and very feelings orientated denomination. So as opposed to some of the other, like you see a lot of apologists out there that are very thoughtful, right? Like whether or not their premises are correct or valid, it's hard to deny that they're thoughtful and they do put effort into, their bad premises at least. This was the contrast between this and my experience in the actual church that I'd come from. That is what started having the effect of making me a little bit disillusioned. And it was particularly when there was a professor that was my favorite professor at the Bible College, and he taught really strong historical lessons from the Bible. So where a lot of Christians, for example, my favorite example is a really common sermon from the pulpit would be the book of Job, right? You're familiar with the story of Job? Like it's pretty common.
Yeah, Satan and God doing a little bet.
Yep, which is a ridiculous premise. Like, how does Satan approach God and then bet him that Job will curse God's name if God only withdraws his protection from him? Like, the premise is ridiculous, and I think Christians have to do a lot of weird reasoning to get to the point where they believe that that is literally what happened. But in the denomination I was in, that's literally what they believed. They believed that, Job was a real person, that he was faithful to God, and God restored everything sevenfold, including family members, because you can replace family members. Like you can replace a wife by giving him 7 wives, or a wife that's, 7 times as good as your previous wife, because that's how people work, right? So this professor, for example, when looking at the book of Job, he wouldn't say this is literally a historical story about a person that God literally dealt with. He actually would look at it and go, well, this is not a literal story. This is a political narrative that someone wrote as a criticism of some of the nations at the time. So I forget the details, and so I feel bad sometimes trying to relate this as if this is some type of truth, but take this as a personal reflection as opposed to me trying to give an academic lesson here. But the way he taught it was that there would be nations that had sovereignty over surrounding nations. So they would have come and they would have conquered neighboring tribes and nations and peoples, and their king would be basically demanding taxes from all these people. And what Job is looking at, so God is the nation that has conquered a surrounding people, and Satan is that nation sending a spy into these nations that have sworn fealty and would basically be tempting or causing harm to the other nation to try and get them to denounce the ruling nation, to test their loyalty, basically. And the book is critical of that action. It's not meant to be, hey, God is awesome. God is being used as a metaphor for this other activity, this other person, but it's being hidden so that they wouldn't actually be seen as political enemies by sending this story around. That type of teaching got him labeled as a heretic, like literally labeled as a heretic and kicked out of the church, which was, that was the moment where I was like, ooh, this is a bit ridiculous. Like he's compelling. He's got good evidence. He's read that, he's done his research. He understands the text. He understands the context. We learned a lot about ancient Near East texts. So, being able to compare the Bible to things like the Epic of Gilgamesh, and it made a lot more sense to read them that way. And, that sort of academic rigor was not tolerated in the church, which basically put an end to my respect for the church, which meant the respect for the religion didn't last much longer.
Yeah. Well, for me, I was a 3-day-a-weeker, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesdays, and then VBS, well, I'll help out there, revivals, did that.
Yeah.
Then I got in disagreement. They accused me of doing stuff. They accused me of stuff I didn't do. I left, and I went to another church for a while, for 2 years. But then the stress was already there. I was like, if I was to be someone somewhere for like 20 years of my life, and like they have to turn out like that. Like, that's the point, So then finally I slowly drifted away, and then, but for a while I was like still a believer, but not a churchgoer for a while.
Yeah.
But then I learned about people, all these. Then the happening with with the kill the gay things and stuff like that, and all the other stuff like the Westboro Baptist Church, and then people calling you stupid for that. I'm like, what am I doing here? Did I do this stuff? I'm like, so like slowly drifted away, slowly just drifted.
It's funny because it didn't really affect me in terms of my losing my faith, but I did have an arch enemy in Christianity. There was a guy that came up. He was a couple of years older than me, and he joined the church. Like, I'm not sure if he converted or if he was a believer, and he moved to Harvey Bay, which is where I grew up. But he joined the church, and he was really resentful of my position. So I was pretty well respected in the church for my, my preaching was considered to be, a gift from God, and I had the gift of wisdom and blah, 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 blah. And I think he was really resentful of that because I was younger than him, yet I was provided with positions that he, I guess, felt he deserved over me. And one thing I did when I was particularly younger, so I'm talking about when I'm like 15, 16, and he was like, I think he was out of school at least, so he must have been 18 or 19 or something. But I used to, for a couple of years, would go and do what's called schoolies chaplaincy with the Red Frog guys. And they're called the Red Frog guys because what we would do, it was a church thing. And so schoolies is our spring break. So when people are graduating from high school, after they graduate in the following week, they will go and get drunk, have sex, and do drugs, and just celebrate the fact that they're out of high school. Like, it's just crazy. And we would go to the Gold Coast, big beach destination. People probably all know Gold Coast. It's one of our international holiday spots. So people, like all these schoolies that are 17, 18 years old would be on the Gold Coast doing all this stuff. And it's often the first time they're away from home, first time they're away from their parents for more than a day or two, the first time they're unsupervised, and they go mental. And one of the results of that is that it creates a lot of genuinely dangerous situations where people, they're either confronted with the fact that school's over and now they've got to make some significant decisions about their life. They find out that maybe their friendships aren't as strong as they thought because suddenly you're in a unit with 5 other people that you thought you were best friends with. And, the schoolyard is a different setting to a hotel room where you're around each other 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. But we as the schoolies chaplains would go around knocking on hotel doors and saying, hey guys, how's it going? Do you want some red frogs? Like little lollies that are quite popular in Australia. At least they were. And we'd just chat with them. So the goal wasn't to convert. We weren't going, hey, we're going to try and save 5 people today. It was, hey, we're going to be like, it was more about that Christian charity, I suppose, in making sure people were safe in that. And you'd end up doing things like escorting girls back to safety because they might be in a situation where they've not feeling like they're safe and they've been alone, and then they need people to go with them so they could walk because schoolies is pretty crazy at some points. Or you'd end up talking to people that were really questioning a lot of stuff and questioning themselves. I remember one guy that he was terrified because he hadn't come out to his friends yet, and like he was going to get found out while he was away at schoolies and stuff, and talking him through that. Anyway, so this was something I did for a couple of years, and like I did it in great standing. I was highly regarded, and then one year I applied to do it again, and I got a call back saying, "Oh, look, probably not this year. That's fine. Thanks for offering though." And when I was like, "What the hell?" Because one of my friends was one of the organizers, and I called him to say, "Hey, I just got rejected. Do you know what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. Let me find out." And I found out that they called my youth pastor, but my youth pastor didn't answer. This other guy answered and talked shit about me because he hated me. And it's like, what the hell, man? Like, that boggles my mind. Like, there was never any Like I was never accused of anything in a church context. Like I was never accused of hypocrisy. I never did anything that put me into a position where I was like considered a risk. And this guy he fucking hated me. We actually did the chaplaincy together one year. We were on the same team. And I remember him just having a big go at me because he thought I didn't like him because of his techno music and because he dressed nice. And my God, he did not dress nice. He dressed in board shorts and goddamn like surfing tees. And he's not a surfer. He was, anyway. He also accused me of not liking him because he had a nice car. I don't fucking drive. I don't give a shit what your car's like. Like that's the last thing I'm going to judge someone by. So yeah.
Oh, see, that reminds me. That's why I like my church at the time, because they were casual. They were basically casual. You could most people, except for on Easter, probably Easter, whatever, Easter maybe or Christmas. But most people wore shorts. But the kids wore shorts, the adults wore jeans, and stuff like that. So like it wasn't like one of those dressed up like Sunday everyday church.
Wasn't your Sunday best.
So like maybe that maybe wore something nice was like maybe Easter or whatever. But yeah, it's like just casual stuff. It's like
we'd wear slacks and button-up shirts, so we were kind of nice, but not all the way, I suppose.
Like 60, maybe it was little small churches, 60 people max, Yeah,
I think mine was 150-ish. So not the biggest church, but I was also the town I grew up in was a town of about 40,000, so there was no massive churches. And then when I moved to Brisbane to do Bible college, I went to a church that had a few thousand people, which at the time was not Hillsong, but it was so close to being a Hillsong church when I was there that it is now a Hillsong church.
Yeah, I was my division was Southern Baptist.
I get the impression that they're very similar in terms of the fundamentalness.
So how did you meet the atheist pastor Nervadia Nacho group people you hang out with now?
I watched a lot of for a year I was watching a lot of YouTube stuff, and I just came across Nervadia through her collaboration with Paula Gio.
That's how I got her. That's how I did too.
And then when I decided to do some videos and stuff, it was primarily because, hey, Nervadia, there's an Australian, there's an Aussie atheist. You know what? Maybe there is space for us. And I joined Twitter, and I started inserting myself into conversations and joining their live streams and stuff, and being active and following their content a little bit more, and that's how I ended up getting their attention back, I suppose. So.
Yeah, I love to
Atheist Pastor started the same time as I did, actually. Like I think he uploaded his first video around the same time I uploaded my first video. So
yeah, I love to be more stream to you guys too, but like I said, it's that time difference.
Yeah, the time zone's a pain in the ass.
Like when you're doing the Friday night six pack. Yeah, to me it's Friday morning. I just get off the third shift. I'm like,
oh yeah, no, that'd definitely be tough. Although it is frustrating to see all the streams that happen while I'm at work, or like I think you're better off in the American time zone than the Australian time zone. Like we see it as a benefit when we get the chance to stream at American prime time.
Yeah, so it's either night for you and morning for me, or it's morning for me and night for you guys.
Yep. It's those public holidays. When we've got public holidays, that's the time to strike, because that's when we've got a Monday off, that's when we've got a chance to do Sunday night streams in American time.
So the time zone is, but it's also fall for you right now, isn't it?
Yep. I'm finally cooling off because I'm sick of the summer and the heat. Oh, I can't wait for it to cool off more. Winter is my jam.
Me, I'm ready for the heat. It's April and it's already still 40 degrees outside, and which is not bad, but normally it'd be fine. But when you're like stuck indoors all the time because of the thing going around, and you want to get some fresh air every so often. You can't be also, but you can't go outside because it's freezing outside.
40 degrees is fine. It's over freezing, so
well, I mean it's fine too. But when you have I have I get sick. I'll say I get sick easily. Like
Okay.
so,
Yeah,
so,
fair
so
enough. That's a bit different then.
yeah, and I'd be careful since I have asthma, so
Hmm.
the virus thing, this is like
Bit more of a
pneumonia.
risk.
It's more of a higher risk for me.
Yeah. I lived in Edinburgh for a year, 11 years ago, apparently, according to my Facebook memories. But I love the cold up there. I thrived on it. It was fantastic. I miss it.
I used to love the. It's funny when I was a kid, I loved snow and snow days, because you go off school, you get put in the snow, but when you get older, and you start to work in the snow, you start to look different at it.
See, can't relate with that. I didn't see snow until I was about 23 or 24. And when I lived in Edinburgh, I lived in a tenement building, so I never had to deal with like shoveling snow or anything because living in a unit, snow's not my problem.
Yeah.
But so it's still just a toy for me.
Yeah.
But I went to the Sapporo Snow Festival back in 2017, I want to say. And that was amazing. I loved it so much.
So, what happened to the fires? Are they still happening, or they died down now?
Oh, they're well and truly done now. Yeah, it's we're into our not wet season, but it's no longer hot enough for the fires to be as much of a risk. There's possible that there's still small fires here and there, but nothing that's
nothing that major thing. It's fun, but I'd say it's not funny, but ironic. Since the fires died down, then the pandemic hits.
Yeah. Well, often it's like we flood and then we burn. Like we sort of teeter between the two. But then what would often happen now is because we're also coming out of the wet season is that parts of the country would end up being in drought, which is, again, relatively common and can be for really extended periods of time. But that doesn't make national news or international news because it's so bloody common. So tough time for our farmers, put it that way.
Yeah. So speaking of that, how are you dealing with the pandemic in Australia? Is it major up there? Is it?
It is major. I'm pretty well insulated from it. So my partner and our work is unlikely to be impacted by it. We're both working from home pretty consistently. She's probably at a higher risk of being stood down at some point than I. Like I've basically got zero risk of being stood down. So I'm very fortunate. She's been very busy, which is good because we were unsure because she works in a field that is related to hospitality and tourism. She provides employment relations advice. And so at the moment, with so many people being laid off and stood down and different government programs, that's a lot of work for her because she's getting a lot of questions from how to, business owners are dealing with that sort of stuff. And in terms of staying home, I've got to say I'm not too bad at dealing with it. And a big part of that has been for like the majority of the time that we've been in lockdown, I've had Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that just that took a lot of my time and a lot of my energy.
Well, I wait for my delivery. I finally ordered mine. I had to wait for my stimulus check I got to get. Couldn't really afford it. Otherwise, I'm waiting for. I got finally ordered a few days ago, and I'm waiting for Amazon to deliver it. But yeah, not like I can just go to the game store and get it right now because.
I see. That's why I got it so early, is because like we could go to the game store still, and because the at the time it was not known whether or not so our retail in Australia. Well, I should say Queensland. I'm not entirely sure how it's being dealt with in other states. I know there are other states that have got more severe lockdown guidelines, but here we can leave for essential items. But at the same time, our Prime Minister has indicated that things that help to manage your quality of life during isolation, self-isolation, is considered essential. So like I don't know, he got a lot of shit for it, but he referenced, going to get a jigsaw puzzle for his kids is essential, like because it's, maintaining a quality of life, I guess. But yeah, so we didn't know whether or not that was going to change, and like only grocery stores and chemists would be open at one point. So Final Fantasy VII Remake was released as soon as stock was available in stores, basically. So I think it was like the 2nd of April or something that it was like released for pickup.
So you're streaming that game? You stream that game?
I'll probably stream it some more, not immediately. So I did finish it. I finished it on stream.
All right, I gotta check your. I go check your reruns then.
Don't watch the ending until you've finished it.
Okay. Is it different? Is it different? Is it different from the? Is it that different? I mean, is it that different from the original game?
So there's 2 major parts of the game that are stories that are not told in the original.
Okay.
Personally, my experience of the game is that it is a perfect reimagining of the game. To me, it is perfectly in line with the intent and the themes of the original game. When I think every element of Final Fantasy VII, the original, is retold, and it is retold like in a perfect reimagining that is true to the original. So it's not like they haven't gone and changed. Like Rufus Shinra is still Rufus Shinra. The Turks are still the Turks. Cloud and Aerith, they're still Cloud and Aerith and all sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So they've added to it. They haven't taken away anything, in my opinion. And I've seen a lot of not controversy, but yes, there are some people that are very passionately going, how dare they change anything? And I think they're unreasonable. In most cases I've seen, they haven't even played the game. But yes, the ending is definitely a spoiler.
When it's not even the end of the game either. It's like probably I'm guessing it's like the original game, just the end of this one or whatever. Like
yeah,
this too. So yeah, but
my hopes. What I would hope is that the next part would be the final part, and I only say that because there was a lot more space to explore Midgar that wasn't explored in the original. Because of the original, while you spent the entire first disc in Midgar, you didn't see a lot of Midgar. You didn't spend a lot of time in Midgar. You compare that with the rest of the game, like the rest of the cities you go to, there's not necessarily that much extra to explore. And as soon as I've said that, I've just realized, no, wait, Wu Tai is going to be massive. So yeah, it probably will be more than 1 disc. Never mind, retracted.
Yeah, but yeah. Speaking of FF and stuff, FF, if I remember correctly, it was the very first game where they started the wars.
The wars.
Yeah. So the shipping wars that I heard about.
Really?
Well, at least there's Team Tifa and Team Aerith.
Oh, you mean Final Fantasy VII itself? Yeah. It definitely would have been an early waifu battle.
Personally, I'm on Team Tifa because playing what was that game? Oh, Beyond Crisis or something like that.
Crisis Core.
Crisis Core. I was Team Zack and Aerith.
Yeah, but Zack's not around.
I know, but neither is Aerith right now either.
Spoilers.
Please, most people.
It's crazy that's a possible spoiler now. Well, I've seen a few people that are playing it for the first time and haven't played the original. Like,
sure.
It has now been long enough that there are plenty of gamers that have not been weren't alive for Final Fantasy VII's big, because it was massive. Like, for a JRPG to be so insanely popular in Australia in the late 90s is amazing. And Final Fantasy VII was the first one to do it.
But yeah, I saw a few first opening scenes of the game, and they introduced the villain in the first episode, the first chapter, pretty much. You see, it's Sephiroth already. Usually, in the original game, you don't see him until the end of the Midgar section.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's already making his appearance at the beginning of the game.
The game does recognize that Cloud knows who Sephiroth is much earlier in the game. And so, while that is the case, I think it works. And I think it's still, it'd be very easy if you're being cynical to look at that and go, "Oh, look, they're just milking the fact that Sephiroth's this iconic character." It's like, well, in the original, Cloud was having those not exactly blackouts, but when the screen goes all fuzzy and stuff.
Yeah, and you hear him talking to himself or something like that.
Yeah, and in this game, those episodes you experience more of what's happening in Cloud's head, whereas in the original game, it's just, oh shit, okay, there's something weird with Cloud. Okay, cool, we'll find out later. Whereas this actually will explore that in a little bit more detail, which I think is cool. They've had a lot of extra stuff they've been able to build into the game retrospectively, particularly I think because of Advent Children as well. Have you seen Advent Children? I'm assuming yes. Yes. There are 100% direct, amazing references to Advent Children. Like, it is ridiculous. It is so good. Like, even the music score, they've actually lifted some of the arrangements from Advent Children and put it into this.
So did you play the original game? Did you get the 2 optional characters?
Yes. Yep. I'm assuming they're not going to be optional in this version.
Yeah. It's funny. Vincent was the easier one to get because you could go in there, talk to dialogue episodes, and get them. But Yuffie, you had to go kill 50 things for an hour before you actually finally find her.
I thought Yuffie could randomly come across her without trying, though, whereas Vincent, you had to actually go back and investigate that.
Yeah, but the problem was you had to go back to investigate things. You can know how to get them, but again with Yuffie, it was random.
But you could randomly get her really quickly too.
Yeah, too. But if you had to you had to either get her and then you had to kill all the enemies and then scream really fast before she ran away or something. So sometimes, so for me, my first time looking for her, it took an hour. 30 minutes to actually find her, and then there's 30 minutes after I found her, to get her to stay in the thing and then answer the right questions.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to I think actually what might end up happening is the Wutai section of the game might end up being massive, and actually finding out more about Yuffie as a person, because we don't really know much about Yuffie. Vincent's a bit different because they've got the Dirge of Cerberus game on PlayStation 2. But yeah, I think Yuffie would be really interesting.
Did you ever it's American or not English, but the Beyond not Crisis Core, but Beyond Crisis game?
No.
Apparently, it's what I heard about it. It's the tale of the original Avalanche or something like that. Back when they were before they were a real terrorist organization.
I have to admit, I wasn't the biggest fan of a lot of the spin-offs that they did. So particularly thinking of Dirge of Cerberus, I'm pretty sure I bought that on PlayStation 2, but I never finished it because I just didn't really like it.
What about Crisis Core?
See, I missed the PSP. I only got the PS Vita. So I can access it now through various means, and maybe I will. But at the same time, I don't know, actually. If I knew that they were going to be referencing Crisis Core directly, which they probably will, considering how they've referenced Advent Children, maybe I should play it.
Yeah, I didn't play it myself either, but since I've always been in I've always been in the story of games sometimes more than the actual gameplay itself. I've gotten books of stuff and clips and stuff. I used to read instruction manuals back in the day when the instruction manuals were actually more like booklets than leaf paper.
What else were you going to do in the car on the way home while your parents were driving you home?
Yeah, especially back in the day when the textbooks actually had helped 5 pages worth of the story in there.
It's like you need to read the manual in Super Mario Brothers to know that the bricks are actually citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom that have been changed into bricks by Bowser's magic.
And Goombas are traitors to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yes.
Yeah, but and you get those instruction booklets too, like the strategy guides, like at the store.
Well, funnily enough, like one of the big ones I'm playing at the moment is I need to finish it still. The Secret of Mana remake.
Oh, I have that game too.
Yeah, it was probably not probably, it is the first Japanese role-playing game that I played and recognized it was a Japanese role-playing game. So I probably played others before that. But this was the first one where I was active, like, hey, this is a genre that is distinct, and I really like it. And I used to hire it from the, I hired it a couple of times from the video store, but ended up buying it. And when I bought it, it came with that really beautiful poster that had the map on one side, and it had like the cover art expanded on the other side. And I got my grandma to take me to the lamination shop to laminate it so I could keep it, and God knows where it is now.
Yeah, and I made a top my earlier videos on my channel was the top 20 Super Nintendo countdown, and Secret of Mana was my number one pick.
What were the other picks?
Let's see. I think number 2 was Link to the Past, and number 3 was Mario World plus
Mario World. Super Mario World. Okay, I know this isn't Super Nintendo, but Super Mario World or Super Mario Brothers 3?
World. 3 was Nintendo. World.
No, I mean in general. Like I know 3 wasn't on Super Nintendo. I was just curious if you preferred 3 or World.
Both. I played. I spent.
Pick one.
3.
Yes, correct. Good. Carry on.
If I had to choose between the world, because I played me and my friend on sleepovers. He came over. We stayed up all night playing Mario 3, and
I love that game.
And got eaten by that stupid fish and World 3 all the time.
Big Bertha.
No, Boss Bass.
Was it Boss Bass? I thought it was Big Bertha.
Well, Big Bertha, Boss Bass is the one that ate you. Big Bertha is the one that swimming underwater spit the babies out. Yeah.
Right. Okay, there you go.
That's one thing I'm good at. Especially back when I was in church. My knowledge, my memories of random facts is things. Especially when I was at church still, I could spit up more Bible knowledge than some of the adults could.
See, I'm good at remembering ideas, but not the specific, like quotes, I suppose.
So I can remember some games I haven't played in 15 years. I still remember the stories about that.
Well, that's so funny. Like, so I'm just at the part where I've entered the Empire in Secret of Mana, which I believe is probably about halfway. Mm-hmm. I remember the end boss. I remember the twist, so to speak, but I don't remember any of the stuff in between now and then.
So right before you got your right before you got the dragon.
I've got Flammy, so I can ride Flammy. Actually, no, I must not be at the Empire bit anymore. Sorry, I finished the Empire bit because that's the bit where you go to try and rescue Diluc from Thanatos. I'm at the bit where I have been sent to the mountain to talk to the sage.
Oh, we go back. The first time you go back and forth, like.
Yeah, it's the first time you need to fly somewhere, and you make it to that little tower that sort of reveals that, hey, this is actually happening in the future, and the world was destroyed, like our world as we know it was destroyed, which seems to be a common thing in SNES RPGs.
It's funny. After the first time you play, you can quit. You can like take shortcuts. Go there and step back. The first time you play it, you don't know this, so you go all the way up to the thing. Go here, go back, go there, do your thing, go back. He's not here yet. Go back, way back, but after a while, that second or third time you play, you go, okay, go here, go there, go here, go, then go to the stage.
I see, and it's been so long that I don't remember any of that, so it works out really well. But like, I want to finish it before Trials of Mana remake comes out because I never played Trials of Mana.
Is that like was that the spin-off or the
Senken Densetsu 3?
Yeah, it's funny.
Like it was a sequel, but never released.
Legend of Mana. But most game I heard was like Secret of Mana. You don't really play the other games like Legend of Mana.
Secret of Evermore.
What?
Are you talking about Secret of Evermore, or are you talking about the other Mana games?
Other Mana games.
The other Mana games. I remember seeing them on the DS, and they weren't Secret of Mana.
Yeah, I think one was Legend of Mana, and the other one was like Final Fantasy Tactics or something like that. But all the sequel Dinko series in Japan, or how you pronounce it.
Yeah, but like outside of possibly Trials of Mana, it feels like they didn't actually stay true to Secret of Mana itself. They became those dungeon crawlers, and it was just really weird. And they didn't have that same cohesive, tight story. They had like this, I don't know. There was one on the DS that I thought, hey, Secret of Mana, I like Secret of Mana, and just wasn't the same.
So what do you think? What do you think about the hotel scenes, cutscenes in the remake?
I think they're cute. Like the game was never too serious. It feels like they're a bit out of sync at the moment on my game.
Yeah, you have to get the thing that you have to go in the hotel every so often. Otherwise, you're like, oh, you're in the middle of the game, and all of a sudden you're cutscene with the first thing. Like, wait a minute, I did that.
Yeah, they were complaining about the desert and the heat. I'm like, I'm not in the desert. Like, the desert was a couple of like missions ago. It's like, okay, cool.
So yeah, so it's probably talk forever, but I'm tired.
Yeah, I've actually got to go to. I've got an appointment at 10 o'clock, so I've got to leave home
So
in about 10 minutes.
Anything you want to plug on your channel?
So coming up is a tough one. So last week I put out a video for looking at some of the religious practices in Bali, so particularly around Nyepi, which is the Hindu New Year, and it's a celebration that's, from what I believe, fairly unique to Bali. And so I did a video where I talk about that and reflect on experiencing that as someone that is a former Christian. So that can be found on my channel at the moment. It's the most recent video. It's also my pinned tweet. So I would love for more people to check that out. I'm hopefully going to be following it up with the same format with looking at Phuket and the Vegetarian Festival. That one may be a little bit more confronting because it does involve self-mortification. As far as the people that are involved with it go, it's one where they pierce themselves with quite large objects and parade and sort of basically wear bandoliers of firecrackers and set the firecrackers off while they're carrying stuff. And yeah, it's a very interesting festival, and it was a very interesting one to attend. Hopefully that video turns out as good as the Bali one. I've got a feeling I've got less direct footage of the festival and more photos, because the photos were a bit more easier to get the detail than through footage. So there's that. And after that, I'll also be doing one on Japan, which Sanja Matsuri, which is a festival in Asuka in Tokyo.
Okay.
As well as maybe just chucking in a bit of fan footage of the Sapporo Snow Festival and some other bits and pieces. So there's that. There's Twitch as well, so twitch.tv/VagrantSam. If you're interested.
Yeah, both of his links are down in the description below.
Yep.
Check, subscribe to him or join.
Yeah, that's where I'll be playing more games and stuff. So soon we'll be doing a collab with Mama Atheist, where we're going to start playing some games together online. So looking forward to that. I'll be streaming that on Twitch, and I believe she'll be streaming that on her channel. And yeah, there are things I'm working on at the moment.
Yeah, for me, playing the two games I'm playing on the weekdays, and then next Saturday, I said reading the thing, but next Saturday on this podcast, me and my friends are going to do an in-depth look at Izuru Kamakura from the Danganronpa series. Do you know who that is?
I don't. I've got a playthrough in the first one that's about halfway to 2/3 of the way through, and I still intend on playing it. So I am trying to avoid spoilers.
And you don't watch the anime yet either, have you?
Yeah. See, I won't watch the anime until I've played the game, because I want to play through the game.
Yeah, you gotta play. Yeah, you gotta play all three games, then the anime, and then the fourth game. So then, yeah, the two, then the Spare Girls, and the third anime. Then it's all weird order and stuff. And then next Saturday after that, Jackson Wheat's gonna be on my channel again. We're gonna talk about baraminology.
Oh, nice.
and how that's the crazy creationist taxonomy. So signing off. You have a catchphrase to sign off on?
No, I don't. I'm pretty boring and vanilla. So
All right.
bye.
All right. So here's my catchphrase: never stop learning, and enjoy the randomness. I'll see you next time.